A belt buckle glints under the Yellowstone sun, casting flashes of light through dense tree canopies. In a sterile English hospital, the clumsy tap of knitting needles echoes on a wooden table, and amid the ashes of Oakland, tiny ants march relentlessly, as if disaster never struck. 3 moments, 3 people, 3 true stories, each sparked by an unexpected event that not only changed their lives, but touched millions of others. But what lies behind these moments? Luck, fate, or a deeper secret waiting to be uncovered? Let's start with Cody Clausen, a 13-year-old boy stepping into the wilderness near Yellowstone National Park on a September afternoon in 2001. Cody, a Boy Scout from Huntsville, Utah, is bright, brave, but sometimes a dreamer. He's camping with his dad and troop, carrying a dream of telling a jaw-dropping story around the campfire. But Yellowstone's forests are no place for dreams. Spanning over 2 million acres, this is raw wilderness, where grizzly bears roam, storms can strike without warning, and dozens of missing persons cases have been logged over decades. On September 7, 2001, as Cody walks a trail, he has no idea he's about to face a night of peril and an encounter beyond belief. Then there's Rich, a 14-year-old boy shuffling through the halls of a children's hospital in England in September 1954. Rich is battling tuberculosis, a disease that leaves him coughing blood and weakening daily. His family is poor, unable to afford tutors, and his education consists of sporadic hospital classes. But Rich has a burning dream to play the drums. He once stood outside a music shop, staring at a drum kit through the window, knowing his family could never afford it. In the hospital's cold, antiseptic air, amid coughs and flickering lights, a music class changes everything and sets Rich on a path that the music world will never forget. Finally, there's Will Wright, a 31-year-old programmer waking up in his Oakland, California home on the morning of October 20th, 1991. Will is engrossed in developing a game about ants, fascinated by their precision in building colonies. But Oakland, with its dry hills, is a tinderbox for wildfires. That morning, the smell of smoke jolts him awake. Within hours, his life is upended, his home reduced to ashes. And a strange idea emerges from the rubble, an idea that will reshape the gaming industry forever. So, what ties these stories together? Coincidence? Or a greater force at play? Picture a single moment shaping an entire destiny, a flash of light in the woods, a drumbeat in a hospital, or ants marching through ashes. Here's my personal take. Maybe the greatest mystery isn't what happened, but how people turn adversity into miracles. To understand why these moments matter, we need to dive into each story, starting with Cody and his fateful night in Yellowstone on the afternoon of September 7, 2001. Cody Clausen, 13, trudges along a trail in the forest near Yellowstone National Park. He carries a canvas bag of camping supplies, just retrieved from his dad's truck, about 2 miles from his Boy Scout troop's campsite. The sun dips toward the west, casting golden-orange light through the leaves. And Cody's mind wanders. He's thinking about the story he'll tell tonight by the campfire, one epic enough to leave his fellow scouts wide-eyed. But as he walks, the scenery grows unfamiliar. The pines all look the same. The trail seems to vanish, and a chill runs down his spine. Cody stops, scans his surroundings. There's no sign of the camp, no voices, just the whistle of wind through the trees. as a trained Boy Scout. Cody tries to stay calm. He decides to retrace his steps to the truck, even if it means returning to camp late. But as he backtracks, everything feels wrong. He's veered off the trail, and now the vast forest seems to swallow him whole. Hours pass as he calls for help, his voice echoing unanswered. Panic creeps in. The sun sets. Darkness descends, and black storm clouds gather overhead. Thunder rumbles, and hail begins to fall, pelting him like tiny bullets. Cody runs, stumbling over roots, his bag swinging wildly. Then, a bolt of lightning cracks the sky, illuminating the forest for a split second. Directly ahead, nestled among rocks, is a cave. Cody bolts inside, his body trembling from cold and fear. Outside, the storm roars, thunder and lightning relentless, and he huddles in the dark. The bag, his lifeline, proves useless. No food, barely any water, and nothing to start a fire or build shelter in his mind. Terrifying thoughts emerge. Yellowstone is grizzly country, and he's heard of vanishings never solved. Will I die here, he wonders, before exhaustion overtakes him, and he passes out in the shadows. The next morning, September 8th, Cody wakes to faint sunlight filtering into the cave. The storm has passed, but he's still lost, 10 miles from camp. Then he hears a sound that sparks hope, the whir of helicopter blades in the distance. Cody scrambles out, heart pounding, using his scout training. He removes his belt, angling the metal buckle to reflect sunlight, sending flashes into the sky. The helicopter banks, descending, and Cody races toward a clearing where it's landing. He yanks open the door, climbs in, and the pilot turns, saying calmly, "Good morning." Cody freezes, the man before him, with a deep voice and familiar face. Is Harrison Ford, star of Star Wars and Indiana Jones? The investigation later reveals that when Cody didn't return to camp the previous night, his dad and the scout troop alerted authorities. A search party formed, and Harrison Ford, an amateur pilot living nearby, volunteered to help. Within 18 hours, Ford spotted Cody 10 miles from camp, thanks to the glinting buckle. But this isn't just a miracle story. Details nag at me. Where did that cave come from, appearing exactly when Cody needed it? Was there danger in the dark he didn't see bears, or something weirder? And why did a Hollywood star volunteer to fly into a treacherous forest for a missing boy? Let's consider some theories. First, this was a natural accident. Cody got lost due to distraction, survived thanks to skills and luck in meeting Ford. It fits the facts. But why was his bag so useless? Was it packed wrong on purpose? Second, the cave was a supernatural miracle, appearing to save him. It adds intrigue but lacks evidence. Third, a bolder theory: did the scout troop's negligence let Cody wander too far? There's no clear proof, but 10 miles is a long way for a kid. My personal take: survival sometimes hinges on skill and an inexplicable stroke of luck. But I can't help wondering, did Yellowstone's wilderness choose Cody to tell this tale, reunited with his dad? Cody refused to go home. Instead, he returned to camp, sat by the fire, and shared his harrowing night and the unlikely hero who saved him. His story spread, covered by outlets like All That's Interesting and Unilad. But it's just the beginning. Another boy, in a different place, was about to face a moment that would change the world. In September 1954, the sound of dry coughing echoes through the cold halls of a children's hospital in England. Rich, 14 shuffles slowly. His body weakened by tuberculosis, a disease that once killed millions. The air reeks of antiseptic, and flickering fluorescent lights cast a sterile glow. Rich is no stranger to hospitals. At 6, he fell into a coma for weeks after a burst appendix, then spent nearly a year recovering. Now, doctors warn he might stay hospitalized for another 2 years. For a poor kid with no proper schooling, the future feels like an endless stretch of hospital rooms. Rich's family scrapes by, unable to afford tutors, and his education comes from random hospital classes, knitting, crafts, whatever's offered. But Rich has a dream that burns bright. Once, he stood outside a music shop, staring at a gleaming drum kit through the window, knowing his family could never buy it. That morning, as he drags himself to a hospital classroom, he expects another dull lesson, but when the door swings open, he stops dead. Before him stands a teacher, surrounded by instruments, and in the center of the room, a drum kit. Rich rushes forward, demanding to play the drums, refusing anything else. The teacher smiles, hands him a pair of sticks. When Rich strikes the first beat, the sound is chaotic, amateurish, but his heart ignites. The class ends in a cacophony, but Rich doesn't care. He's found his passion. The next day, he rummages through a hospital closet, finding long knitting needles. They become his drumsticks for the next year and a half. He taps rhythms on every surface: tables, chairs, even walls, ignoring the nurses' glares. In 1955, at 16, Rich leaves the hospital, cured of tuberculosis. But life doesn't get easier. His family's still broke, and he takes a full-time factory job to help them. Yet, he never quits drumming. During breaks, he grabs knitting needles, tapping on metal crates. Then, on Christmas 1956, everything changes. His stepfather, working grueling extra shifts, gives him a gift, a real drum kit. Rich clutches it, tears streaming down. From then on, he practices relentlessly, gigging with local bands, quickly earning a reputation as the best drummer around. One day, a popular local band fires their drummer. They approach Rich, now going by Ringo Starr, and ask him to join. He doesn't hesitate. That band is the Beatles. From hospital halls to global stages, Ringo Starr turns adversity into legend, shaping music for millions. But details linger in my mind. Who was the music teacher who brought drums to the hospital? Was that class a fluke or a twist of fate? And how did Ringo, an uneducated kid, rise so fast? Let's explore some theories. First, Ringo had innate talent, sparked by a chance opportunity. It aligns with his biography, but doesn't fully explain his dogged persistence. Second, the music class was a random spark in the dark. It's dramatic, but overlooks his stepfather's role. Third, perhaps Ringo was destined for greatness, as if fate chose him. It's romantic, but less grounded. My personal take sometimes. Adversity is the fire that fuels passion, but it takes someone believing in you, like Ringo's stepfather. This isn't just about drums. It's about turning pain into music. But while Ringo conquered stages, a man in Oakland was about to face a disaster that would birth an entirely new world. On the morning of October 20th, 1991, Will Wright, 31, wakes beside his wife in their Oakland, California home. A sharp smell of smoke snaps him out of sleep. He rushes to the window, peering at the hillside about 600 feet away. A thick column of black smoke rises, ominous and growing. as a Californian, Will knows wildfires are a constant threat. He dials 911, heart racing. The dispatcher reassures him it's a wildfire. But the fire department has it under control. The smoke is just residual. Will exhales, thanks them, and starts his morning routine, brushing his teeth, showering, and thinking about work. Will, a software programmer, is deep into developing a game about ants, tiny creatures that build colonies with astonishing precision. He spent hours studying how they coordinate, rebuilding after disasters. But as he steps out of the bathroom and glances at the window, he freezes. The smoke column has doubled in size, and through the haze, red flames lick up the hillside, heading straight for his neighborhood. Sirens wail faintly in the distance, but the fire is clearly not contained. Will calls 911 again, voice shaking. The dispatcher sounds surprised, the fire's still burning. We'll check, but Will can't wait. The flames are closing in too fast. He runs to his wife, who's now at the window, face pale. They grab essentials documents, clothes, and bolt outside. Smoke chokes the air, and neighbors' panicked shouts fill the street. As they're about to speed off, Will remembers something. His neighbors, a young couple, are away for the weekend, leaving their 2-year-old with elderly grandparents who have no car. Will pounds on their door, yelling, "We have to go," the grandparents, terrified, clutch the toddler and follow. They pile into Will's car, and he floors it, weaving through smoke-filled streets, leaving their burning neighborhood behind. A week later, Will returns, riding in a police cruiser because the area is too hazardous for civilians. When the officer stops at his address, Will steps out and stares at the rubble. His house and the entire neighborhood is gone. The 1991 Oakland wildfire, raging for 4 days, destroyed over 3,000 homes and killed 25 people. But standing amid the ashes, Will feels no grief for lost possessions. He's grateful for one thing: his family survived. Then he looks down, and a strange sight catches his eye. Tiny ants, relentless, crawl through the debris. They carry minute scraps, rebuilding their colony as if the disaster never happened. Will, who studied ants for months, is struck by their resilience in that moment. An idea sparks. 9 years later. In 2000, Will releases a game not about ants, but inspired by them. The Sims, a virtual world where players create characters living real lives, complete with love, families, and sudden disasters like fires or what sells tens of millions of copies. Becoming a gaming icon, still played by millions today. But questions haunt me. Was the wildfire the sole inspiration for The Sims, or did Will have the idea earlier? With the disaster as a catalyst, and why shift from an ant game to a complex life simulator? Let's consider some theories. First, the fire and the ants rebuilding directly inspired The Sims. It fits the story, but lacks detail on the 9-year development. Second, the trauma of losing his home pushed Will to focus on family and recovery, birthing The Sims. It's empathetic, but doesn't explain the leap from ants to humans. Third, The Sims reflects society, where disasters are part of life. It's profound, but lacks evidence of Will's social intent. My personal take: disaster can destroy everything, but it can also ignite unexpected creativity. Will didn't just make a game, he crafted a mirror of life, where we face loss and find ways to move forward, like those tiny ants. But Will's story, like Cody's and Ringo's, makes me wonder what truly shapes our destinies. 3 people, 3 moments, 3 stories that touched millions. Cody Clausen, a 13-year-old lost in Yellowstone, survived a storm and was rescued by Harrison Ford, an unlikely Hollywood hero. His tale, spread by outlets like All That's Interesting and Unilad, reminds us of survival skills and random kindness. Rich, or Ringo's Starr, turned hospital days into legendary drum beats, leading the Beatles to musical heights. His journey proves passion can bloom in adversity, especially with someone's belief. And Will Wright, losing everything in the Oakland wildfire, saw ants in the ashes and created The Sims, a virtual world reflecting life's joys, pains, and resilience. Yet questions linger. In Cody's cave, was there unseen danger he escaped? Who was the music teacher who brought drums to Ringo? And was it fate's design for Will? Was the wildfire the only spark for The Sims? Or was there a deeper secret in his creative mind? I can't shake the feeling that an invisible thread ties these stories: a sudden moment, a spark in the dark, and the grit to turn it into something extraordinary. Their stories ripple outward. Cody's survival inspires lessons in preparedness, strengthening scout programs. Ringo's Starr shaped music culture, urging millions to chase dreams despite hardship. The Sims isn't just a game, it's a reminder that life is unpredictable. Yet we can rebuild. The Oakland fire spurred fire safety reforms in California, saving countless lives since. So, fate or perseverance, I believe it's both, intertwined. But I want to hear from you. What danger might Cody have faced in that cave? Was Ringo destined for greatness? Did Will plan The Sims before the fire? Or did disaster reshape him? Let's share your thoughts in the comments. And if you love these stories, check out our next video on mysteries that change the world. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks for joining me on this journey, and remember, sometimes a single moment can change everything.